Hi. Yesterday I made a video of my handling of twisting the aces, an effect that I'm not particularly crazy about, but a trick that I do often because it fits in so many different contexts. It made me think of a couple other tricks that I occasionally do, particularly when I have four aces lying around and I want to continue a routine or have a particularly involved audience. So without further ado, let me get on and show you first a version of Lorayne's Hollow Aces, followed by a Marlo cutting the aces effect. I'll do the effects first and then explanations will follow. Thanks for watching. Okay, here's the deal. I've got the four aces here, and I'm going to insert them into the pack like so. All right, this makes for a beautiful 8x10 glossy. All right. I used to use a fan card with the four aces sticking out as my publicity photo, but no more. All right, we'll give the deck a shuffle or two. And while I'm doing so, I want you to think of which is your favorite ace. Now, of course, you don't have a favorite ace. Nobody has a favorite ace. But I do want you to think of any possible ace. And I'll tell you ahead of time what I'm going to do. Whichever ace you name, I will spell to it, and it will be revealed. Okay, which ace would you like? Let's say you pick the ace of hearts. Okay, let's do it. ACEOFHEARTS. Okay, you've asked for the ace of hearts. Now, I know that that card's the ace of hearts. Why? Because I know that it is not the ace of spades. I know that it is not the ace of clubs. And I know that it is not the ace of diamonds. So it must be the ace of hearts. Ta-da. Okay, another trick, one that's largely Marlo, but it uses some of the same techniques I used in the first effect. Basically, I'm going to spread the cards out like so. We're going to distribute. In fact, I have the audience members help me here. We alternate putting the aces into the pack like so. All right, the idea this time isn't to, has nothing to do with favorite aces or anything. It has to do with mixing up and finding the aces and actually randomly cutting to the aces in a very thoroughly shuffled deck. Now you can see that those cards are genuinely mixed, and I could go on shuffling, but you know the drill. Okay, to cut to the four aces, watch. Cut number one, ace number one. Now, if I cut one less or one more, I would have missed the ace. Cut number two. By the way, you can show your audience that there are no breaks, and this is done with a perfectly ordinary desk, no crimps, no duplicates, nothing at all to help you. And you cut a second time, and you cut, of course, to a second ace. Once again, had you cut one less or one more, you would have missed the second ace. And now it's getting down to brass tacks. We only got two aces left in the deck. Let's see if we can hit it here. Ah, yes, the third ace, the ace of spades, the big one. If I'd cut one less, I would have missed here. If I'd cut one more, I would have missed here. Now, the cool thing here, and you could do any number of things, is the fourth ace is now the 20th card in the pack. You can build this up any way you like. Have the audience member count down, dealing cards face up or face down, doesn't matter. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and the 20th card is the fourth ace. A lovely trick. Okay, I hope those two tricks will prove useful to you, and we'll get on to some of the explanations of the trick themselves, and then I'll finish up with detailed descriptions of the moves needed for those who don't know them. Okay, thanks for watching, and stay tuned. Okay, the first trick I did, it turns out to be a version of the hollow aces found in rim shots. I had a great deal of trouble finding it because the version I use, or the suggestion of the version I use, is found in one simple paragraph, which gives an idea and makes reference to a move called Marlo's simple shift, which is found in the Cardition. It took me a while to look this up. I've been doing it for so long that I thought the trick was actually taught as I do it, but apparently not. So anyway, let's get to it. Let me refocus the camera and we'll do the trick. Go over the explanation of the trick. Okay, first an explanation of Lorrayne's Hallow Aces, a trick wherein you spell to any spectator named ace. Now the basics are that you're going to be getting the aces in clubs, hearts, spades, diamonds, known as chased order, to the 10th through 12th position, 10th through 13th position in the deck, 10, 11, 12, 13. All right, I do that normally. I will casually cut over 9 cards from the bottom like so, get a pinky break, and then just openly pass those cards to the top, taking note of the bottom card here, the 6 of hearts, which will now become the 9th card from the top. You can do that any way you'd like, and I do it in many different ways. All right, the critical thing is that the first ace, the ace of clubs, is placed in 10th position after that 6 of hearts in this case. The next card, the ace of hearts, is placed, and believe me, for what you need to do here, place it into the pack. Doesn't really matter where, but the closer to the ace of clubs you place it, the easier the simple shift you're about to do will be. You then place in the ace of spades and the ace of diamonds. You square the deck. Now, this shift is kind of a plunger move, and I'll detail it later, but you push those cards into the deck, all right? You strip out from the back and do a Hindu shuffle, which places those cards in the position you need. The 10th, 11th, 12th, and 13th from the deck. Now, depending on which card you pick, the handling, which ace the spectator names, I mean, the handling will differ slightly. Now, it's nothing you really have to memorize, because once you understand the principle, it'll be self-explanatory. I will go on at unnecessary length, showing you the handling for each of the aces, but once you get the idea of the situations you need to arrive in, it will be pretty much self-evident. All right. Let's start saying the spectator named the ace of clubs. To get the ace of clubs, which is the 10th card and spelled with 10 letters, you spell without changing the order of the cards. A, C, E, O, F, C, L, U, B, S. Now that card is the ace of clubs, and the next 3 aces are here. And the situation you're going to need for this and any named ace is you're going to need 2 cards, and these are both aces, all right, on the bottom of the pack, and 1 ace on the top. And by sliding them over as I did, that's exactly what I've got. I've got the ace of spades and hearts on the bottom and the ace of diamonds on the top. So I'll say, do you know how I know? You know how I know that's ace of clubs, because I know that it is not the ace of spades, and I do a hallow slip cut there, and I'll detail that if you don't know it at the end of the video here. And I then do turn it over, and I got the ace of hearts. Your card is not the ace of hearts, and of course your card is not the ace of diamonds, so it must be the ace of clubs, and sure enough it is. Now I'll show you the handling for each of the aces. I've set up these decks so that I have the aces in the appropriate position, and we'll go right through them. This one apparently isn't set up properly. I've got the cards reversed here. So now we have, I hope, we have the ace of clubs through the ace of diamonds in 10th through 13th position. Let's spell to the ace of hearts. All right, the 11th card. So A, C, E, O, F, H, E, A, R, T, S. Put it down here. Now in this situation, I already have the ace of clubs on the bottom of the pack, and I have 2 aces here. I'm going to need 2 aces on the bottom and 1 on the top. So I push one of these 2 aces over here and then bring this packet to the top, and I've got the necessary situation, the one you're aiming for. 2 aces on the bottom, 1 on the top. Once again, I do the hallow slip cut. Here it is, slow motion. All right, flip this over. That will be one of the aces. Bring this packet over, turn it over like so. That's the second ace. And here's the third ace. Right here, the ace of diamonds. And sure enough, you have cut to the ace of hearts. Okay, let's take out the next deck and do the ace of spades. Now, the ace of spades spells with the same, make sure I have this set up properly. Yes, I hope I do, if I've got the right number of cards on top. Okay, the ace of spades spells with the same number of letters as ace of hearts. So you're not going to turn over, you're not going to put down the last card on the spelling as the ace of spades, you're going to put it the next card like this. A, C, E, O, F, S, P, A, D, E, S, and then the next card goes down. So now you're in position. There are already 2 aces on the bottom of this packet and 1 on top of this. So just bring this packet on top and you're all set to reveal the other 3 aces. You do the hallow cut, okay? Flip it over. There's the ace of hearts. There's the ace of clubs. And there, of course, is the ace of diamonds. And then you finally show the ace of spades. Now, for the ace of diamonds, if I were teaching this as a class, I would say, okay, you tell me what I do for the ace of diamonds. But this isn't a class, and I can't see you or hear you, so I will do it for you. I will take my own test. Okay, the ace of diamonds is the 13th card. So here we go. It will be A, C, E, O, F, D, I, A, M, O, N, D, and I leave that card side jogged, S. Why do I leave that card side jogged? Because all 3 aces are now in this half. No aces are here, so I need to take this ace back on top, bring this packet to the bottom, which once again leaves 2 aces on the bottom and 1 ace on the top. And once again, I can say, you named the ace of diamonds. I know that's the ace of diamonds because it's not the ace of hearts, it's not the ace of clubs, and it's not the ace of spades. Now, I think that is a pretty cool trick. Okay, on we go. All right, this trick is a Marlo effect, cutting the aces, and I love it because you really do cut the aces. You use a little bit of estimation, and the idea that the spectator finds the last card at the position you told him is a real killer. When I first saw it, it fooled me. Let me show it to you. It's similar. The reason I'm putting these 2 together is they have certain similarities in their handling. Both use the Marlo simple shift. Now, in this case, I need to place the first ace 9th from the top, so I need to know the face of the 8th card, which is, in this case, the 5 of hearts. And then the other cards, the other aces, they don't have to be in any particular order in terms of suit this time. But you are going to get the same result. You're going to do the Marlo simple shift, okay? And you're going to end up with the cards in positions 9 through 12. You're then going to give the pack what amounts to, you can do it any way you want, I have some certain preferences here, what amounts to an out pharaoh. Now, I don't even try to get the out pharaoh. I always push it in anywhere I can get it, and then bring the cards down and then do the little flourish here. And as a result of that, I know that the aces are 17, 19, 21, and 23, which means getting that first card by estimating isn't all that difficult. It doesn't matter whether it's this card or this card, you've cut to the ace. Now you always continue by saying, okay, you remove the ace wherever it happens to be, all right? And you say, if I'd cut 1 card less or 1 card more, I would have missed. And it's important that you turn over that, you take that card from the bottom pile and put it on the top. All right, the remaining aces are now 18, 20, 20, what, is that right? Let's see. They're now 18, 20, 22, and 24 from the top. So you can have a pretty good chance of hitting the second one too. Okay, it's not here, so in all probability it's right here. Yes, it is. Okay, so you've successfully cut to 2 of the aces. Once again, if I'd cut 1 less or 1 more, all right, and you put this card on top. Now this one can be a little iffy, so be prepared to miss. You've got 2 aces, and they're in, what is it, the first is 17, 18, this is 19 and 21, are the remaining 2 aces. So I cut like so, all right, not here, I hope it's here, and yes it is. And once again, I say if I cut short, I've got the, I would have missed. If I cut long, I would have missed also. And now you're ready to tell the spectator. You can build this up any way you want. You could do all sorts of false shuffles that you want. But that card, that 4th card, is always going to be 20th from the top. Watch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. There is the 4th ace. It's a beautiful trick. I do it often, even as risky as it may be. It does have the downside of you have to do it with a deck that's suitable for faro shuffles. So I don't always do it with a borrowed deck, but when I have the right deck, I very rarely fail to do this trick if I'm jazzing. Okay, that's it. Now I'm going to go on to the detailed explanations of the moves. Okay, thanks for watching so far. All right, a couple of details on the Marlo simple shift. This isn't quite the way Marlo does it. He doesn't do it from a fan, but I found it easier and a better display than simply inserting the cards in the deck. Basically, okay, I'm going to get the cards to be 10th through 13th. I know that the King of Spades is the 9th card, so I'll put in the Ace of Clubs here, the Ace of Hearts. One of the tricks, by the way, to make this easier, you can space these out pretty much any way you want, but the tricky pile, when you do the push through, the tricky pile is the one nearest the bottom card. So believe me, from experience, if you put the Ace of Hearts closer rather than further away from the Ace of Clubs, it's going to make your life a little bit easier. And the further away you get from that Ace of Clubs, the less that matters. Okay, so once you get to this point, you've got the 4 aces spread through pretty much throughout the deck. What you have to do is make sure, as you push these in, that you're not squeezing where the cards are going, because you want the cards between the aces, the top and the bottom aces, to be pretty free. So I bend my right arm so I'm really holding tightly on the packet below the Ace of Clubs, and I'm pushing down, and my other hand, my left hand, is holding securely the packet above the Ace of Diamonds. So as I push, okay, I hope you could see this. You may not be able to, the way I've got the camera position. Let me do it this way. Okay, as I push, you can see that all of those packets, see that bottom one is a little bit reluctant, okay? In fact, it was quite reluctant, and I'm aware of that, and I compensate for it as I strip it out here, okay, and then continue my Hindu shuffle. And that should leave the 4 aces in position. Okay, let's do that again, all right? Okay, so we've got the Ace of Clubs in the 10th position, the Ace of Hearts close to the Ace of Clubs, the Ace of Spades, and the Ace of Diamonds. All right, look where they are, okay? The pressure is going to be on this bottom packet down here and this top packet here, so that I can be sure that all those packets in between the aces will push out, and then I can do the strip out and continue with a Hindu shuffle. And once again, those 4 aces are in position for the spelling trick. Okay, that's that sleight. The other sleight we're going to talk about here is the halo slip cut. And I think I've seen it attributed to somebody else before Lorayne got to it, but let's call it the halo slip cut. That's where I learned it. Okay, what is a slip cut? A slip cut, normally from the top, is when you hold on to that top card, okay, as you bring the cards out like so. So the top card is retained, even as you seemingly cut the deck. That's what a slip cut is. Well, the halo cut is the same thing from the bottom. What you're going to do is you're going to do a swivel. You're going to pivot out the bottom half, I'm pivoting off the top, but as I do that, I'm bringing the bottom half with my ring finger outward like so, retaining in place as much as possible the bottom card. Now this is hard for me because my hands are so dry, because that bottom card, that card that's retained is retained by friction. So there's the kick out here, retain this card, and bring the rest of the cards to the top. That is the halo slip cut, Harry Lorayne slip cut. He uses it in a lot of effects, describes a whole series of effects with it in his book, Rim Shots. Okay, I don't think there's any more to cover here, so I hope this has been instructive. I have a few more points I'd like to make, but this has already been long enough, so I hope this works and I hope it's useful. Bye. See you soon.